Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Wonderfully made, confidence be displayed, success is unavoidable, desires will be attained, and you are capable. Can't no one stop your hustle, you're resilient and brilliant, your blessings have no ceiling, you shine and keep grinding. This spiritual remedy is divine and designed for your heart to align with your mind, a prophet for the queendom's hotline, a vision. Fearfully and wonderfully made, confidence be displayed, success is...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're so glad to have you here. Welcome to our next episode of Her Divine Voice, a podcast for women by women. I'm your host, Beverly Hayes Coleman, with your co-host, Crystal Robles, and we are so excited for today's episode. Today, we are talking to certified business and mindset coach, Alexandria M about balancing faith, family, and career.
Thank you. Welcome, Alexandra. I'm so excited to have you on with us.
I'm so excited to be here. You both look so beautiful. And
you do too.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for being here.
Seriously. So before we jump onto today's podcast, I have the honor to introduce my friend that we've known each other for 10 plus years, 15.
I think probably. We're over 15 now.
I think so. We're over 15. And I'm just so grateful to have her on here with us today. So Alexandria she's been married for the past 23 years. She has 2 incredible children. She's a dynamic leader, entrepreneur, and business coach with a passion for empowering others. With over 25 years of experience in sales, team building, real estate, retail, and executive management, she has owned her ability to connect, lead, and inspire. She transitioned onto entrepreneurship 18 years ago, opening a high-end boutique and later building a successful online franchise, mentoring women through coaching, training, and retreats. Now, as a certified business coach, she focuses on leadership, growth, and practical strategies for entrepreneurs. Committed to collaboration and community, she helps women unlock their potential and build successful, purpose-driven lives. The focus and goal in almost everything she does is building community, building others up, and reminding women we truly are better together. The world is full of enough shade, as she says. Alexandra lives by the line, collaboration over competition, and believe me, it's a game changer. And we're so excited to have her on here today.
I love that. Listen, hearing all that, sis, I'm like, you need to go on vacation.
I was going to say, I do need a vacation. No, just kidding.
Because, baby, you're doing a lot. I love it.
I am, but I'm, as we'll get into later, really walking gratitude. So
I love that.
Yeah.
When I was reading your bio, one of the things that stood out to me was that you've been married for so long and you're doing all of this. Like when you're married, it's kind of like just because I've been married for 17 million years, it's like when you're an entrepreneur and a hustler and you're married and you're trying to, I was like I want to get into this topic. Like, I want to know, because it's like nothing gets 100% of you. You know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? And so my first question to you is, how are you handling seasons when you feel spiritually drained or distant from God? Like, how do you handle that?
So I'll touch real quick on my marriage part, and then I will tell you about my spiritual, when I feel drained or distant from God. They're both different thoughts. Really, I married someone who really has a lot of love and respect for who I am and what I do. And so he's a great supporter of my dreams. And I'm that way with him, but he kind of lets me rock and do what I do. And I know that when I come back, I have a place to land with him. And it's really beautiful. And now we've been married 25 years actually now. And I would say it's a gift that I didn't know, because a lot of my peers don't have that. And I'm grateful for him being able to allow me to be strong and confident without feeling insecure being with me. So
I like that.
What I feel about ever feeling spiritually drained or distant from God is I start getting back to basics. I start reading and listening to things that I know are really solid foundational pieces. I pull up Bible verses. I know that if I'm feeling distant, God's not the one who moved. I am, right? Because God is always with us. He's everywhere. And so if I feel far from him, it's normally something that I'm doing or not doing. And I have a very specific quiet time that I do. It's a non-negotiable, and it is part of my routine. But I really take time to go back to the Word of God. You know, he's so detailed with his children. He has answers to the things that we need if we'll seek him. So it's always on me. I always feel like God's God and I'm in a season. So let me seek him above all of these other things.
Listen, those are the facts.
I like how she said, I go back to basics.
Yeah.
That was deep.
And it's a healthy reminder, you know, like you said, God isn't the one that moves. He's never, you know what I mean? He's
like,
solid.
And over there.
Yeah, it's us who move. And so, and I feel like when we're dealing with like everyday stresses and, you know, this is bothering me, that is bothering me, it's because we're not tapped in.
That's right.
Because we're not tapped in. Yeah.
It's like we gotta plug back into that source, right? To like recharge. Yeah. That's amazing. So since you are an amazing woman, you're married, you have kids, you are doing a lot. How do you prioritize your marriage while balancing work, kids, and all these commitments that you have?
I would say that I live my life with a get-to mentality. I learned this. I went to a sports camp in Missouri, of all places. I'm a New York City girl, in Kansas City, Missouri. And their motto was that we get to do all of these things. Like, oh, we have to walk 2 miles to, no, we get to. And so I use that paradigm shift in my own life, that I get to do all of the things that are really priorities for me. So I get to be at my children's games because I've prioritized them, and I get to go out and have a date with my husband and show up to things because I call it a life by design. It is a designed life, and I have to say no to a lot of things, but I get to say yes to the things that really light me up. And I'm 46, and I will tell you, it wasn't like in my 20s. You know, it takes time. And I think women are really hard on themselves. They think like, I have to have all of this figured out all the time. As long as you have those foundational pieces together and you know what really should be prioritized, you can say no, even in a loving way, to things that are less important.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, me too. That was good. I'm so glad. Yeah. I'm so glad you said yes to being on here, because a lot of women are gonna get a lot of judgment.
I get to share, right? I get to be here.
Thank you. Seriously, thank you. So, speaking about women, right? What advice do you have for women who feel called to entrepreneurship but fear the unknown?
This is a great question. It is really a powerful thought, because a lot of women are feeling this and they don't talk about it, right? They just take their dreams and they just put them away because they're afraid, but they don't want to talk about it. And what I found in building my community, Building Her Dreams, is a beautiful community of women entrepreneurs. And we really support one another and clap for one another and do the thing in business that seems to be so scarce. When you're an entrepreneur, you feel like solo all the time, but we come together. I would say definitely my number one thing is my foundation. Again, do not be afraid, right? God always gave me verses like Isaiah 41. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I'll strengthen you. I'll be there with you. And I just feel like those kind of things, God is with us. But the thing that I would say for someone who's fearful is get together with someone who's a few steps ahead of you or a few miles ahead of you. Build, if you have a built-in community, find a community of people who are masterful at what you're looking to do. Hire a coach. I know a good one. I
like the plug, sis.
Shameless New York plug. Who is not just a coach, right? I'm a business coach. Not everybody can be a business coach. Most people who get certified, they're not certified business coaches out the gate, because if you haven't run a business, you don't know the intricacies of running a business. So for 20 years, I've been an entrepreneur and I've done many different things, but get someone who's a few steps ahead of you. Get someone who's going to really have the passion and belief when you're having an off day, so being in community, remembering your faith and what God tells us not to fear, and, really taking that leap. I always tell my clients, everybody that you love or look up to started with the same 0 people and had to build, I'm sure they had moments of fear also. And we try to reframe the word fear with excitement, because both of them bubble up inside of our bodies the same way.
They do. They do. Let me ask you this. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
This just based on your answer you just gave, as far as, so here's my question. What is the difference between a business coach and a mentor? Because what you just shared, like you said, the business coach does a little bit more than just when you don't feel like you don't have those days where you just don't want to do anything. And that's usually when people tap into their mentor. Right. You know what I mean? But it sounds like a business coach is like you get a little bit more for the money.
Structured solutions, right? So we have tools in our toolbox, right? Things that we can grab when we're feeling uncertain or when we're, unsure of what step to take. So you have a guide, and my coaching, everybody's coaching is different. I kind of hop into your business with you, even though I, don't have the same kind of, buy-in with what you're making out of it, but I dream with you and work with you as I'm I'm a partner in your business. So we talk about things that way. And I think having the tools in your toolbox for the days, I'll give you an example. So I just had a 60 women event on Sunday. Actually, one of Crystal's really good friends came.
She did,
Beautiful day. It was probably one of my favorite. And I shared with them the next day all of the private messages that I got back. And so I posted a picture of us in the room and then all of the private messages that I got back about the inspiration, about love, about feeling seen, all of these different things. And I wrote, the caption was, for the days that I have to remember to shine my own light, right? Because those are tools in my toolbox for what I do. Some entrepreneurs are going to need different tools, but from what I do, I have to remember it's okay to do what I know is right, even when I'm not feeling up to it that day.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Let me tell you about Alexandria. Her and I, when I started network marketing, like my first MLM, direct sales, that's how I met Alexandria back in New York. And ever since we connected, and throughout my whole life after that, I got into different businesses. She was always available and always pouring into me. Always. She's like, oh, I've seen this happen before, such and such, and that's one thing that I appreciate about Alexandria, that one, she always supported. Two, she always gave you that coaching, even when you didn't ask for it. Right. But she she knows, she sees what people's potential, right? And then she'll tell you what's your potential. And then she's like, this is what I recommend, or this is what you should do, Chris, because she calls me Chris, right? And I'm like, okay.
When she came on.
Yeah, and she's one person that always, when there's a good opportunity, she's like, hey, this is a great opportunity. But she's a risk taker. She fear doesn't hold her back. Opportunity does not, it doesn't hold her back. She's like a go-getter, even with building. I seen when she started to build and create this building her dream group community. And let me tell you, it started, one, she had a vision for it, she executed it, And it just kept growing and growing to a point that she even hosts book clubs, and it's open for everybody.
Yeah.
And I used to, me being in Florida and her being, you know, in New York, New Jersey, I will always like, oh, I need some of Alexandria. Like, you know, even if it's just a book club, I am jumping on because that's her way of pouring into me and to so many other women. And that's how she even created community outside of building her dreams, was through Zoom and book clubs.
Yeah.
I love that.
Like, she's all about community. She's all about.
We have a book club starting on Thursday. We're doing the pivot year, and it is, Crystal hit the nail on the head. It is a way that I can pour back into the community for some of the women who can't afford my services.
I love that.
It's so beautiful. So again, you know, we'll share her where you could find Alexandria, where you could find these resources, where you could even have her as a business coach, life coach. Like, she's amazing. Okay. So now I'm gonna jump into the next question because I want to get all the gems from her while we have her on here.
So you guys, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I can't wait to watch this back. So I can.
I'll try to get all of her. All right.
Yes.
So, what are some time management strategies that help you stay productive without compromising faith and family?
So that's a great question. All of your questions are really good. I would say I do time blocking, which I'll share in a minute. I honor and I really make time for rest, which most women are, you know, would look down on sometimes when we need rest. I set myself a little alarm if I need to rest, and I do it. And I'm really intentional with, you know, having a life of intentionality means that you have to do things. You have to set things up intentionally. So, you know, I stay connected to our community, our church community, places where I know that my kid is going to be having fun with someone else, that I can still kind of get the rest that I need when I'm feeling, so I don't get to that burnt out feeling. And then I use time blocking a lot. You know, here's your free coaching. You know, if you time block the most important things and you get them off your list early in the morning, you do have a lot more free time. Most people are doing the hardest things last. They say, oh, let me finish all these easy things, but that's really not wise, because whenever you sit down and you're ready to begin, if you time block and say, listen, no matter what, I've got to get back to Beverly today. I have to get everything to Beverly. Even if that's not my favorite thing to do, if I get it off the list, all of the other things will be able to get done in a much more easy way. And I think that people put it off thinking, oh, I'll just do this easy stuff and then never get to it. And then guess what happens? You know, confidence is a result of keeping the promises that we make to ourselves, right? So if we don't promises, the private, quiet promises that we make to ourselves. This is why when people are working out at the gym, they have a countenance that looks different. Their confidence is not just in the work that they're doing in their body. It's the confidence of, wow, I'm doing this. I'm doing great. Like Crystal crushes it with all her little numbers, 34 out of, I'm like, oh, Crystal. But, you know, I'm so proud of her because it really is an important way to that from creeping in.
Yeah, that's so good. So talking about burnt out, right? Because I know a lot of us, even me as a mom, as a single mom of two, homeschooling, working 9 to 5, have online business. How do you, when you do feel burnt out, what are the things you do? I know you said rest, but what other things would you do to like not feel burnt out?
Right. So I would say I get back to my basics. I quiet the noise. I keep my promises that I make to myself every morning. I wake up whatever time it is. I'm usually up by 5 a.m., but my house is silent. I do my devotions. I even use, I can send it to you guys and you can put it under soaking scriptures, and it's beautiful music. And he repeats the scriptures 3 times. And really, it's helped me to hide God's word in our heart. I think in our Christian community, sometimes we get scared of the word meditate, right? Because the world has distorted what meditation is, but God tells us to meditate on his word. So we can meditate on the word of God and find that those words, like sometimes in my mind, I hear it over. Like there's one that's like, I will live and I will not die. I will, see the goodness of God in my life, but it's just playing over in my mind. So I do think that balance with time is a myth, right? Most of the time, if you're grinding, you got to grind sometimes, right? If your foundational pieces, which are your prioritized family, God, all of the things that are important with you, there are going to be moments when you're bringing a new idea into the marketplace where time-wise you may be out of balance. But if you're in alignment with your purpose, with your God-given purpose, then even if you're physically tired, I feel like you will feel invigorated. Like you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so, like Sunday, I was exhausted after my event, right? We set up, we broke down, we did the whole thing, but I felt amazing, right? So that day, my family time was out of balance, but since family time is a priority of mine, I have to find a way to weave it back into my life, right? People get out of balance and stay out of balance. They're just like, oh, forget it. I'm busy at work. I'm going to stay here. You have to be in charge of your own time and your own life. And if something is foundational and you say, my marriage is a non-negotiable, my children's life is non-negotiable, us showing up at church is non-negotiable. If you miss one Sunday, that doesn't mean that you're out of balance with God. You know, you have to make other things, if they're a priority, do your quiet time, make sure you're spending time with God, and you can swing back and forth with the items that are the most important on your list that day. But I don't think that there's a balance of like, you get 33%, you get 33%, and you get 32%. It's not really like that. And I do think that there are seasons in business. You know, when I was opening up my business and, you know, doing all of the buying and doing all of this stuff, I was super busy. Right now, my day doesn't look like that. I set up my day. I take my clients when I want. I freelance in Manhattan 1 day a week. So I have created more balance, but I think that balance is inside. Keeping things first, keeping God where he belongs, keeping my family where they are. And then when
That's good.
when the need arises, right? When someone says, hey, Alexandra, I need you to be on a podcast right now, and I have to quiet my house at 4:30 when it's time for people to have an afternoon snack and do homework. Guess what? Maybe somebody looking at my, oh, Alexandra's out of balance. No, because I'm here present with you, beautiful women, giving and pouring out what I can. And then I'm going to go back to the thing that's my really top priority, right? So we can move in and out of balance.
That's good.
That.
All right. So the last question, right? If you could go back and give yourself advice at the beginning of your journey, what would you say?
I would say, hold on tight. Hold on tight. Because when you're going to disrupt a market somewhere, either networking, bringing a business idea from concept to completion, it's going to be a lot of work. We have been unwisely advised that it's supposed to be easy if we're walking in our purpose. That is not true. It is hard work to get your work done sometimes. That doesn't mean that you're going to be doing something you don't love. I love what I do, but I have emails. I have numerous things that I have to take care of. And I think that people just think, oh, well, you know, everything's going to fall into my lap. And it's not. There is a part of really taking your work seriously. And so I think if I could go back and talk to younger Alexandra, I would say, hold on tight. You're going to have some days that are going to be really hard and some days that are going to be really great and easy and beautiful. And all of those days, if you're walking in the purpose that you know that God has created for you, then that will be the balm and the soothing balm over your soul when it's weary, right? When we're doing for God, it's very different than just working for man, you know? And so I feel like for me, a lot of women have been incorrectly advised by someone who doesn't have the same passion or love for what they're doing, or maybe the same life that they want. Like you women amazingly started this podcast, but somebody else who wants to come and like crush your dreams, like, oh, this is silly. Don't do this. It's going to be too much work. You know, maybe they haven't been downloaded with the dream that God gave you, you know? So you have to be very careful who you get advice from. And also don't think that everything's going to just fall into your lap. You know, it takes time and effort and love to bring this to fruition. So that's what I would tell younger Alexandra. Hold on tight, but the good stuff.
Hold on tight.
Good stuff.
I love that. That was so good. I hope you guys all got a lot of gems from Alexandria. It's a blessing to know her. It's a blessing for her to be on this podcast, and for her and Beverly to meet and also connect. Remember, we are connecting, right? We're collaborating over competition. You could find all her information on her website, www.alexandriamahadas.com. You can
Yes.
follow her on Instagram, okay? It's at Building Her Dreams.
Right.
Okay. On her website, though, you can find all her services. Okay, business coach, life coach. She's a mindset mentor. I'm telling you, she really is. If you guys want to join us on the Zoom for book club, there you
Yes.
go. If you are in the tri-state area, for my New Yorkers, my people from New York, Connecticut, the next time she does have a Building Her Dreams event, buy your tickets, attend. The next time she has a retreat, because I'm long overdue. Beverly, we're going to New York for the retreat.
My business retreats are really fun. Before we end, I just want to share a verse that God put on my heart, and I didn't get to share it while I was talking.
No, go ahead.
It was one that really sustained me because I am a multifaceted entrepreneur. So I've had numerous businesses. So my clothing store closed. I don't want to go too long, but God gave me the verse, Matthew 6:26. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much valuable? Are you not much more valuable than them? And every single time things would be really challenging, I would ask myself that question. Are you not much more valuable than them? God's got this. God's got this. And I just would remember like that. I can bring all of my love and all of my hard work, and then I have to release to God and let God do what God does, right? And it was just really a beautiful time for me to see that God has given us the answers for all of the things that we're going to encounter in 2025, but we have to be willing to seek him.
Yes.
So, yeah, they're in there. They're in the book.
I love that. I feel like we got fed today.
Right?
We got fed today. That was amazing. Yeah.
I agree. I'm telling you, when we were thinking about this podcast, this topic, we were recording another one. And then I was like, you came up and I was like, Beverly, I have someone. She's in my heart. And she actually reached out to me and congratulated us for the podcast and then said, hey, I said, wait, I do want you to come on for this topic. I think you're perfect. It was like confirmation. It was just like we were so in sync. And, I appreciate your time for being on here. Seriously, like super grateful.
Thank you for being on here for sure.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. I
keep doing your thing.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
I'm excited to see all the incredible things that you guys bring forth. I'm so excited for this and for this new journey. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining in with us today. Don't forget, check out the website, check out the link. And as Crystal and I like to say, always be praying and always be in expectation. Thank you guys.
Fearfully and wonderfully made, confidence be displayed, success is unavoidable, desires will be attained, and you are capable. Can't no one stop your hustle, you're resilient and brilliant, your blessings have no ceiling, you shine and keep grinding. This spiritual remedy is divine and designed for your heart to align with your mind, a prophet for the queendom's hotline, a vision.
Attention ministry leaders. Have you ever considered growing your ministry with television? Well, the Daily Gospel Network could be what you've been looking for. As one of the nation's largest Christian broadcasting companies, the Daily Gospel Network broadcast all over the world on popular streaming platforms like Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. If you're looking to grow and reach more people, the Daily Gospel Network could be your solution.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Fearfully and wonderfully made, confidence be displayed, success is unavoidable, desires will be attained, and you are capable. Can't no one stop your hustle, you're resilient